You clicking a lot.
It's crooked.
It's clicking.
All right, a little cookie, baby. Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, 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 hey. So this is Valerie with Host on Natural Body Care
JQ.
and
Harper.
that's not Harper. That's hot stuff.
Hot
Hot
stuff.
stuff.
So we're popping on because when my girls come in and they want to talk to me about something, I'm like, wait, hold up, hold up, hold up. This is something that a lot of other young women can benefit from. And so Harper came in my office just a few minutes ago and started chit-chatting with me. So what were you wanting to talk about, Miss Harper, Miss Hot Stuff?
Well, we were talking about weight loss, and we were honestly discussing about how, in order to become the woman I need to become, I had to change a lot of my habits. It started with you saying that I'm really disciplined, and I was like, well, actually, between you and God and you, that's the only reason why I even decided to start even paying attention to the habits that I was doing, because I knew that if I adapted the habits, like say that you have, it's obtainable. Like it's like, okay, if I do this, then I know that it's possible. So we were just talking about, I think the question was, what type of woman do I need to become in order to become the woman I see myself in the future?
And I think that's a very outstanding question. What do you think about that question, JQ?
Ooh, it's a good question, but it is definitely loaded. It definitely means that we're going to have to look within ourselves because, woo, that's deep.
Yeah.
It was we had to stop because I'm like, okay, well, I think that honestly, just being around you guys in general, like JQ's extremely disciplined with her workouts. Like it's ridiculous how she can. It's not ridiculous. It's just like, wow, she'll work out 2 or 3 times a day. It's nothing that stops her from working out or obtaining her goals, whether it's physical or whether it's career wise and things like that. And then for Miss Valerie, like when you put a goal out and you say you want to do it, it's nothing that stops you, right? So if I have all these amazing women around me, what do I need to do in order to do that? And one of the things that always comes up is discipline. You guys are so disciplined in what you are doing. And I think I was expressing to you that I was doing the 75 hard challenge. And if you don't know what the 75 hard challenge is, it is it's wild. On my third restart, but
I
I said I
couldn't
was
do
going to
the
finish it.
75 hard challenge.
You've never done it? Or you
I
never heard
couldn't
of it?
do it. I couldn't do it. And as we get talking about it, you'll learn that I am disciplined in some areas, but in other areas, I have to work at it. It's not, doesn't come naturally for me. So tell
I
me,
think
what is the
that's about
75 hard challenge?
75 hard is where for 75 days you follow, I think it's like 7 rules. So one rule is 2 45-minute workouts a day. They can't be simultaneous, and one has to be outside. The second rule is 1 gallon of water per day. Third is you have to take a progress photo. The fourth one is you have to read 10 pages of a non-fictional or self-help book. Is that 4 or is that 5? That's 4. Okay, 5.
I hear a little echo. You guys are close in your offices. Somebody may need to close their door.
Let me see. I think, okay, I think both of our are closed. Maybe the echo
Okay,
is from the closed door.
it's better. I think it's
Oh,
better. I
that's
just wanted
better.
everybody to be able to
Okay.
hear
And then
you.
5 was no alcohol. 6 was no cheat meals. And I think that's it. And the seventh rule is if you miss anything on any day, you have to start over again.
Nope, I can't do it. And I'm gonna tell you why. JQ used to be my personal trainer, and she would come when I lived in Meridianville. She would drive all the way to my house, and she'd have this lineup of the different exercises that I could do. I did more complaining. You remember that, JQ?
Yes, I do.
She would want me to get on the side of the bed and do these squats and do this, and I made up more excuses about JQ. I'm too old to do this. So there's some things that I'm disciplined in, and then there are other things that I'm not disciplined in. And then I remember when my cousin Shawnee and I we were doing HCG, which is weight loss, where you just do these drops. And I remember she doesn't know this day that I did this. Your body goes into ketosis. And so you really want your body to stay into ketosis. And back then, I drove all the way to Atlanta and stayed in her home for like 6 weeks until we had a family emergency for her to help me to build some level of discipline, because when it came down to weight loss, I was just not disciplined. And so on this one particular day, and anybody that knows anything about Atlanta, they had the absolute best thrift shops. So I got in my car and I put the GPS on to take me to this thrift store and that thrift store, all in different townships. Y'all, I was so hungry. Because I knew Shawnee wasn't watching me, girl, I went and got me some Cheetos. And by the time I got to her house, we could only eat a small portion. I was ready to eat that little portion, but girl, I ate those Cheetos so fast, I felt like an absolute alcoholic. I was eating those Cheetos so hard. So some things I'm disciplined in, some things I'm not. Now I've gotten better because that's been a few years ago. And so now I do better. But it takes work. I have to put some tools in place in order for me to be successful in some things. So, Harper, I don't want you to think that it just comes so natural that Miss Val is just so disciplined in in every area. Some areas, yes, not so much in all others.
I think that discipline is it's just it's a learned thing. Like, because I'm 31, right? So I can be disciplined as far as, like doing hair, but like I was not disciplined as far as being on time. I had to like actually I told you that was one of the things that you said. She told me, and communication is so important in how you say things and how it registers with the other person as well. She said, I see it as a sign of disrespect when you don't show up on time. And I don't know what about that, because it was like, I don't want her to think I don't respect her. You know what I mean? And it's something about having that helped me to make it a learned behavior. Like, okay, so what do you need to do? What are the steps for you to be to work on time? That means you got to get up earlier. Okay. That means you have to get up when the alarm cuts off. That means you have to leave in time. So if it takes 20 minutes, leave in 30 minutes. I had to trick myself. I had to put my clock a little bit earlier so I can get on time. But I'm realizing that discipline is really a learned behavior. Like, what I've learned is that with the 75 hard, because it puts me in those boundaries, I have to then prioritize, right? And then I have to learn that. And then once I prioritize, then I can focus. That's another learned trait. And it just kind of goes, I guess, dominoes in this way. What do you think, JQ?
I think that you're right. I think that discipline is definitely a learned behavior. But I also think that it really takes a desire in order to
Mm.
want to be disciplined. Because if you don't have the desire, or if you're not willing to sacrifice, then discipline is never, you're never going to learn it. And it is weird how we can apply those same disciplinary actions in one area of our life, but we can't in another area of our life. And
Mhm.
that's based on our characteristics. For me, I struggle with discipline in certain areas of my life, major. And so, when it comes to workout, or when it comes to working, or anything organizational and logistic, I'm super awesome, great at being disciplined. But when it comes to things like food, I'm a foodie. And so I have to do the same thing. I have to set boundaries in order to stay within the discipline lines that I want. And I also think it takes a lot of focus. You have to surround yourself by people and things that will help you stay within the boundaries that you have set. Otherwise, when you don't have any boundaries, or you don't have anything holding you accountable for those boundaries or that
Mhm.
discipline, then you're always going to, go outside the box. Otherwise, you wouldn't need accountability or discipline at all.
Also, I think, JQ, I really agree with what you just said. The other aspect of that is measure. You have to be able to analyze the data. So, just like you identify areas in your life that need discipline, you have to analyze exactly what it is that you're doing incorrectly that's not producing the results that you want. And then once you analyze it, you have to structure a behavior that's different from what you've been doing that's going to produce different results. And at that point, you can analyze it. And then when you see it working for you, it's just like studying nursing. You study nursing to become a nurse. You study pasturing to pasture. We study creating products to make products. And so it's just like if you want to become disciplined, you have to analyze what you're doing that's incorrect, that is not disciplined. Just like me, I had to analyze the fact that you weigh 180 pounds. So, is this the weight that you want for yourself? Is this the look that you desire for yourself? And if not, I had to be hardcore honest and say, this is not what I want. I don't like it, and be willing to do something different. And then the other part of that, the measurement part, is how long is it going to take for you to structure new behavior? I like the 75 hard because we know that if you do something supposedly for 21 days, that it's going to set a new pattern. But child, y'all, I was with Shawnee for 21 days. It was probably on the 25th day that I went on the Cheeto hack and ate the whole bag of Cheetos, like my whole arm was in it so deep. So you can still break that pattern, but you've got to want it hard enough to continue on that path. What do you think about that, JQ?
I think that is absolutely true. I do not believe in the 21 days because I've done the 75 hard several times and it's still a struggle. Even on day 7, the boundaries for that are super tight. I think that, like Ms. Val was saying, when we set our boundaries, measuring and analyzing is huge in order for us to be consistent. Because a lot of times we'll set these boundaries. We're talking about the 75 hard. We look at that and we think, oh man, this is so easy to do, until it's time to actually do it and then be consistent with it. And so we also have to look at how we're setting these boundaries in order to meet these disciplinary goals. Because I know for me, if I tell myself that I'm only going to drink water for the next 75 days, I'm already setting myself up for failure. Already setting myself up for failure. But if I discipline my mind and my thoughts and I focus on one day at a time, then before I know it, I've reached the 75 days. So I think having mental clarity, things that are measurable, boundaries that are doable, that are easy to maintain, and accountability, all of those things are going to help us be a lot more disciplined to accomplish our goals.
And the other part of that too is not feeling like we are cheating ourselves out of something that we either deserve or that we want. And I know for Harper, I used to get on to her because Harper was drinking Starbucks coffee every day and eating out every day. And I would say to her, you spend $7 every day for a cup of coffee from Starbucks. And I know, how did that make you feel, Harper?
You know what? I didn't feel any type of way until you told me to bring out my bank statement. And I was like, oh my gosh. I think I was spending what, like $1,300 on eating out in Starbucks. I said, oh my gosh, this is where my money's going. So
A mortgage and a car note.
I was like, I felt honestly, after I was able to regroup, because I realized that a lot of times when we talk, sometimes I get defensive, but I'm learning to really just take in what you're saying because it's really from a loving place. And then after I thought about it, I was like, oh, she's right. Because honestly, if I would just discipline myself to not go to Starbucks and eat out, then again, it rolls over into other things. I'm not going to be as stressed out, right? Because I got food at home. I honestly haven't been out to eat in like almost the whole month of January. I went one time to McDonald's only because, and I got their fries. Listen, their fries are so good, especially when they're fresh. You tell them no salt, you know what I'm saying? And that nice Coke, you be like, you know what I mean? That, I don't know what it is. But I only went one time. I spent like $4, and I was like, what would Miss Val do? Like,
You already know I'm going to Kroger and get a bag of potatoes and some sour cream and some Smart Balance, and I'm gonna put it in the microwave for about 5 minutes, and then in the air cooker. You already know what I'm gonna do.
I
Yep.
already know. But it's been really enlightening. Like, it's so many things that you guys have been saying. It's discipline, it's measuring, it's becoming focused that allows us to become, who we say we want to be. And one of the things that I have also noticed is it's going over in the other areas of my life too, right? Like, we're in one area of discipline, the other we're not. And I'm like, I could take this same template into this other as well. And with the weight loss, which is what we are initially talking about, is I'm at like I'm at 20 pounds lost already. So I'm like, yay. And like you said, I was like, I don't want to be, well, I was like 240 though. I'm a big girl. Okay, I'm 220. Okay, but I'm getting there. All right, we're working on it. And
You're a
I think it's
beautiful
like,
girl. You're a beautiful girl.
thank you. I appreciate that. But I just want to feel, how who I envision myself to be and who I am now, um that bridge that I have to make is gonna be in the daily characteristics that I have to learn and develop, which is the discipline part. Because honestly, without the accountability, that's one. Two, I don't think I'd be able to do it, because I'm like, because she's gonna ask me what I did yesterday, and I don't want to lie. So
No, lying
if
is not an option.
if I do what I said I was gonna do, then when she asks me, I can tell the truth and it won't be a lie. So that's what I think as well. But I just it's just all a wheel, and I'm excited about it. Like, all these characteristics, and you would never think that discipline for me would require all these other accountabilities, focus, measuring, as well. But it's just so many different pieces to it.
Mhm. And then on a sidebar, I just want to create a little picture for you. And I'm creating this picture for both Harper and JQ. When I wrote in this morning, my live for this morning was I'm always working on how do you create the life that you want for yourself? How are we becoming? And I had to kind of go over some of the things that I used to do, a habit that I used to have. When you grow up in the projects, that's all you see. You have one path, you drive that same path home every day. And for me at that time, it wasn't driving anything, it was catching the city bus. And so I got on the Joseph Avenue bus from downtown or wherever I was going, the connecting bus to come to Hanover Housing where I lived. So I never saw anything to leave an indelible imprint in my mind about.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Let me see what's going on.
Let's see what's happening here.
All right, hold on. I'll be
All
back.
right, guys. Hold on 1 second. We're having a few technical difficulties. I think we just lost Mrs. V. Um, so give us 1 minute. We're gonna go check to see what's happening there. Oh, there we go. Why?
There we go. Okay. There you go. All right. Okay, now where are you? Put JQ back in. Click on JQ.
No,
She's in there. Okay. And where are you?
I'm in here. I'm right here.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. Few technical difficulties. So I'm going to wait for Harper to get back into her office. I'm so sorry. She should be there. I hear her running up the hall. I've got the screen up over there so I can kind of see what's going on. Okay, all right. So what I was basically saying was that, because I lived in the housing, my route that I traveled every day did not expose me to anything different. So once I left Rochester and I moved to Huntsville, there's no public transportation here. And so whenever you had to go from point A to point B in Huntsville, you're going to travel in your car. So I began to ride in other areas that I had never ever been in, had never traveled in. And I would ask, it started to open up my mind, and I would ask myself, I wonder what you have to do to live in this community. And then I would go to another community. I found myself up on Governor's Bend, and I saw the mansions up there. Found myself in just all kind of areas that I had never ever seen before or ever thought about. And what that did was it opened up my horizon to the possibility. And so now, once you begin to see things more vividly and different from what your norm is, now you can take that same picture and place yourself in it. I started asking myself, I wonder what it is that they do. How much money do you have to make in order to be able to live in a house like that? And then from there to just other things in life, like everything in the world is created. And so I began to say to myself, and I say this even now, it doesn't matter what it is. I say, if this person can do that, so can I. Because God does not equip one of us with a certain amount of brain cells over the other unless you frying them out with pot or whatever else, your alcohol or whatever you may be doing. The Lord gives each one of us equal playing ground. So all of us have the same amount of cells, but it's based on what we do with it. And so now today, I can say to Harper, I can say to JQ, and I can say to anyone out there in our audience that is watching us that in order to become whatever it is that you want to be, and it doesn't matter. It could be you want to be thinner. It could be you want to be more disciplined. It could be, it just really doesn't matter. The first thing you want to do is analyze exactly where you are. Get serious, get hardcore honest about where you are. Look in the mirror and say, if it's weight loss, sometimes you just have to look in the mirror. I know I did. I was in the office with Harper earlier, and I literally stood in the mirror and I told her, I said, this is what I had to do. I had to look at myself and say, do you like this size? And people would say, well, being thick as in, it may be okay for the next person, but is it what you want for yourself? Being broke or carrying a designer handbag that costs $5,000 and you don't have $5 to put in it, that may be okay for someone, but is it what you want for yourself? And so when you turn all this around and you ask yourself the hard questions, when you analyze the data, then what do you do with it? Do you become constructive and start mapping out a plan to change your behavior and then walking it down, practice nursing so that you can become a nurse, practice pastoring so that you can pasture effectively? It's what we do with that data on a daily basis that helps us to accomplish our goals.
I like that. That was awesome. I just love when we have our talks too, because, and I love when we share with others, because like I tell you all the time, it's what needs to be said. Like it's what's needed to be heard. It's what's needed to be said, especially when it comes to health. And I think that, or what I'm finding out is, when we take care of ourselves and we take accountability, like you said, it really helps in every area that we have. Like, I didn't realize that, honestly, not taking care of myself health wise really affected my business, my life, my mood, my energy. Like, I didn't even realize that either. Mm-hmm. So I think that taking the accountability, analyzing the data, deciding, right, which is really the first step, is deciding that you want to change, is really important in becoming who we actually want to be. And I really appreciate the accountability you and JQ give me too, because you plays no games with me at all. Yeah. Absolutely none. I know we all have our days, especially with the health part. Because you guys have been there. Not obese like me, but you guys have been there where you had a goal, you set out and did the steps that you need to do, and you reached it. And I think that is so important to see too, is to be able to see the goal. Like when you said you were going to the different neighborhoods, to the houses, and how going into and wondering how much money do I need to make? What do I need to do? Who do I need to become? So
Yes.
I think that it's really important as well that people understand that when we say become the woman we've always wanted to be, or become the person you've always wanted to be, an aspect of that is understanding what it is that you want to become, being able to even actually visualize it. One of the exercises Miss Val said, she would go to different parts of town in your discovery of going outside of what you already know, learning yourself, understanding what it is that you want to become. Sometimes we have to see it outside of ourselves in order to visualize ourselves in that picture. Miss Val was like, oh my gosh, I never even saw these houses before. I never even understood what these, or never even knew that this existed. But it wasn't until her heart decided that she wanted more. She might not have even understood what that more was, but acting on that desire and discovering what that may would have been is so important as well on our discovery and our journey to actually becoming.
Absolutely. And I want to say too that it's not enough to just become, because after you become, you have to become complete. Now, let me add this. So now that I have accomplished a lot of material things, I want to be the first person to let you guys know that it is not in those things, it is not in acquiring things that has added not one iota of joy or happiness to my life. Some of us think that because we don't have A, B, or C, that I would be happy if I did, if I acquired this or if I had that. So you go out of your way, or the enemy has a habit of making us think that we're less than because we may see someone else with this, or we may see someone with something that we want for ourselves. And in my case, I have been rewarded for my labor, and I'm so thankful. I'm very, very thankful. But let's not get it twisted. And I don't want anybody to be short sighted in thinking that because I have accomplished or acquired things, that it brings me joy or it brings me happiness. It has absolutely nothing to do with peace, joy, or happiness. It is in moments like this. These are the fulfilling moments when I'm able to share and I'm able to help empower someone else. I get more joy out of accomplishing this than I ever would a house, a car, a handbag, or anything like that, because those things are perishable things and they're temporal. They may please you for a minute, but you're always hungry for the next thing. And that's because the Bible tells us that, it is the pride of this life that some of us become so consumed with until we're not able to appreciate where we are. And so I just wanted to make sure that anyone that's listening, yes, you can acquire, yes, you can become, but after you do all those things, you've got to become complete in everything that you have acquired.
We'll have to have another live where you tell us what does it look like to be complete? Like what does that mean? Like I feel like that's such a loaded question too.
It's a
Yeah.
loaded question, but it's really simple. And we can have another live about it, but I can leave it with you. You can only become complete in Christ because he settles that longing. That's why you find so many wealthy, extremely rich people who are so unhappy they commit suicide. Just look at the history of what has transpired. These are people with unfathomable amounts of wealth according to the regular person, but it hasn't helped them not one bit. You get a whole bunch of stuff, and I can even use myself as an example. I am just a handbag hoarder. Oh, I love handbags, and at one point it used to be shoes, and now that I can buy any handbag I want, I have way too many handbags. I find myself carrying the same handbag. So, in acquiring or in getting what you want, it's not going to help. As a matter of fact, it's more confusing for me to have 50, 11 million handbags than it is for me to have 5 handbags that I love. Because that hoarding or that disorganization in my mind about which one do I carry today? Did I put my wallet in it? Or how many times have I gotten somewhere and something that I carried in the bag yesterday, I failed to transfer it into the new bag, so it hasn't added, and then it ends up frustrating me. Or the same with clothes. I go to my closet, it's so much stuff in there until there's no organization. I love it so much more. It's so much more rewarding. It's so peaceful when I have select pieces that I totally enjoy wearing, that I know what the performance is going to be about. When I put on the right trousers and they fit in all the right places, I have the right tops and, colors that accentuate my complexion. When I go to my closet and I get those things, as opposed to buying into a fad or some cheap stuff that just came out by this brand because they're selling it on this platform or selling it on that platform. And I'm lured into the temptation of it when I'm disciplined enough to study what really works for me. And I only invest in what really works for me or brings out my betterment. That's where I find peace. That's where it really works for me. That's when I show up that I'm proud of who I'm showing up. Not because I accomplished a whole lot of junk and stuff that doesn't matter, stuff that's going to be here today, gone tomorrow, or things that the moth is going to eat, or that the thieves are going to break in and steal. That's not the stuff that brings me joy. It's you guys. It's you guys. It's these conversations, knowing that we're going to change someone's life. And like we said earlier, I was telling Harper, I said, you know what? I think I told JQ this too. And when it comes to even followers, sometimes I think that we can become so preoccupied with the numbers. Social media is a games number, and it just it can wreak havoc on our mentality because if you don't have this number of followers or that number of this or likes or whatever, shares and all this other kind of stuff, when in all actuality, those people don't know you. They don't know you. Most of them don't like you. Some of them are followers, they're haters, they're gatekeepers, so on and so forth. And even when it comes to that, I told Harper, I'm cleaning that up. I'm no longer interested in building a bunch of followers just to say I have them. I'm on a different path. I actually wrote it down.
You wrote it down.
I wrote it down. I'm going to read a little bit of it. I said, first and foremost, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all my current followers. So if you follow me, thank you. Hey, and thank you. Your presence and support has been the bedrock of my journey. However, it's time for a shift. I'm pivoting towards growth, and I hope you are too. Social media has often felt like a stage where followers are there to just spectate, gatekeep, scrutinize the lives of the people that they follow. They contribute no real value. This dynamic no longer aligns with where I am heading. I don't want to go there. I don't want you guys to tell me, or to, you look good, you look beautiful. So what? Everybody does. The time has come for me to step away from metrics of followers and likes and move towards making a tangible difference in the lives of others, which is what we're doing right now. So to those who have known me before Christ era or my life at 17 and younger, I cherish those moments. However, our paths have changed to the point to where mutual growth is no longer possible. I kindly ask you to unfollow me. So if you remember something about where I was, where JQ was, where Harper was, don't follow us anymore. Only follow us if you're going to be about our betterment. If you're going to be a part of our pivot, a part of our growth, then come on with us because that's where we're headed. Come on with us because that's where we're headed. I think I'm speaking for my girls. What y'all think, ladies?
Oh, most definitely facts
I'm
on
with
facts
you,
on
Harper.
facts on facts and facts.
That was exactly what needed to be said.
Yes, most definitely. Worrying about the crowd or who's following you, that's
Or
not
who
a
likes it, who
Christ
doesn't like
anyway.
it?
Right. We're supposed to be living our lives and becoming the woman that we want to be or the person that we want to. First of all and foremost, based on what God has for us.
Yes.
And then if we're staying in his guidance and staying in his word, staying in the boundaries of which he set for us, then our life it's already destined, predestined. It's how we're going to map it out that's going to make it pleasant or unpleasant, make
Well, I
the
don't know
desires
about
of our heart.
predestined. JQ, I don't know about predestined. It's only our destiny is based on the steps that we take. And it can change at any point because you can be on the road to doing something good and decide you want to step off. So that's when predestination no longer plays into it. Now, it is the will of the Lord that each one of us should be in good health, that we should prosper, and all of the above. But if you don't align yourself with the goals that He has set in place, it won't happen. So we have to be intimately involved in that process at all times in order for us to visualize and for that to become a reality in our lives. She's shaking her
Yeah, that's
head.
that's very, very true.
Yeah.
Again, all that we're having to do and everything that we're doing just to become the person we want to become. It all starts with us. It all starts with me, JQ, deciding that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be a gazillionaire. And then looking at what that means, having a visualization. I do a vision board every single year. And last year was the first year that I realized that the vision doesn't have to change, or it doesn't have to be accomplished at 365 days. It's a vision. It means I'm consistently working towards making those things come to life, manifesting what I want. And 365 days doesn't mean that I've not accomplished the goal. It just means that I haven't reached that particular destination yet. And it still should stay in the forefront of my mind and be a vision or something that I'm working to become and get closer to.
And it's a journey, and we will be on this journey until the Lord returns. And so I'm going to leave you with this. Let's embark on this journey of growth, transformation, and genuine connection. And here's to making a difference, one soul at a time. So this is Miss Val
JQ.
and
Harper,
that's hot stuff.
hot stuff.
We're saying thank you guys so much for joining in, and maybe on next Monday we'll do it again.
Nice.
Thanks, guys, and peace out.